I have done a lot of things in my life, but that was probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Being so close to your mum and dad, that must have been hard being away from family.
I just left and I was like, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? Changed who I was and it sculpted me into who I am today. I was not happy for a long time, but I am such a stubborn bitch and I don't believe that you can't make it. I think that's bullshit. I choose to win at this, no matter what the fuck happens. I had rolls of money just hidden in my shoes.
All of your Jordans.
All of my Jordans. I didn't even cook in that house. I lived there for 1 year, no Wi-Fi, no TV, no cooking.
During that time, you actually prepped.
All the way to Australia to do the show, and the day before I said to my coach in Australia, I'm not doing it. I never wanted to be a pro, ever.
So tell us a little bit about your faith.
Do I cover? No. Is that your business? No.
Yeah.
That's between me and God. I don't really care because I am who I am, and if you don't like it, that's not my issue. It's a crazy journey for me spiritually because I prayed every single day of that prep. People underestimate how much you can do just by believing in yourself.
What would be some advice that you'd give someone that's going into that?
Whatever you want to do, you do it. You have to be authentic. You have to be you. And if that means I have to be 100 kilos jacked and that makes me happy, and you don't want to look at me, I don't really care because I'm happy.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Walk with BEX and welcome to another interview podcast in the studio. Today I have got a very special guest with me, my friend Sarah Marie, WPD Pro, online coach, and I would say probably one of the most renowned PTs in Dubai. And I'm really, really happy for you to be here today. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, babe. I'm really happy that you asked me as one of your early ones. First girl, actually.
Yes, first girl on the podcast.
That's
and also, I love the fact that you agreed to do this, even though it is 8:30 in the evening. And it is way past our bedtime.
8:30 isn't that scary for me. 9:30 is more scary.
But it's great to have you here. And I wanted to get you on because not only are you one of my closest friends, someone that I've known the entire time we've lived in Dubai, which I think we actually moved at the same time in the same year, 2016?
No, I was 15.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been here 8 years. I've been here 7. And I wanted to get you on because I wanted to talk about your journey through fitness. I wanted people to get to know you because I feel like we've had many discussions over the years, many in-depth discussions, very spiritual discussions, and I think it'd be nice for people to get to know you a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So take us right back, Sarah, to before Dubai, before WPD Pro. Take us back to when you started your fitness journey.
So I guess like for me, I did bits and pieces throughout my whole life. You know, my mum was always very active, and my dad too, but my mum especially was like teaching fitness in gyms from like when I was this big. So everything that I could do that I wanted to do, she would push me to do. So I think I did swimming, I did tennis, I did gymnastics. And actually I was fucking very scared in gymnastics because I was always afraid of everything high. And I used to have to do it. Mum would force me to go and do it. And it was very, very bad. I did dancing. I love dancing. And then throughout high school, I stopped wanting to do, I was always a bit of a tomboy. So I kind of wanted to stop doing all this like girly gymnastics-y type dancey stuff. And I started playing basketball with the boys. And I
love that.
I was obsessed with Michael Jordan. And, you know, back then we had Reebok pumps. You remember them shoes that used to go boom, boom, boom? So that's beside the point. But I really loved basketball. So that was something that I did for a lot of years. And then from there, where did I go? I went into high school doing the same things. Out of high school, I stopped sport because I did Taekwondo for a period there.
Just randomly.
Yeah, totally random. I was still swimming every single day. Most of my life, I've always had a cardio element. I just loved it, like always. The way that it made me feel like, you know, always healthy and full of energy. It was always a morning routine I had. So actually, as I got older, I used to drag mum to swim with me every single morning, swim laps. We used to swim, I don't remember how long it was. It was like 1 hour full lengths back and forth. And then I got into the Taekwondo and I loved this. I was obsessed with it. I don't actually know why I stopped, but anyway, I did it for a long time. And then I probably stopped because I went through a period where was studying out of school. I went to university and I had to drive far to do that. And I was like a workaholic from the minute I could work. So I was like working, I had university, I had another job with like the lady that was kind of, what do you call it, where they take you kind of mentoring me into the job that I was studying at uni. And then I was also working 3 other jobs. So I just didn't have time to do fitness anymore. So it became like a side thing. And then...
what did you study at uni?
Natural medicine.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't finish it actually because of the Navy.
Okay, tell us about the Navy.
So I used to work in a bar in my local area, and there was a guy that used to come in every single day, and he used to talk to me about his son. And he was always telling me, you know, my son, he's in the Navy, he has bought multiple properties, he has good money, he's traveling the world, like blah, blah, blah. He used to talk to me about it every day, every day, every day. And you know, if you hear something enough, you start to think, maybe I need to look into this. So, and also my dad was in the Navy, and you know, I was always super close to my dad. So I always wanted to be like, whatever dad did, I wanted to do also. So I was like, went home one night, like middle of the night, because you know, bars close like 2 a.m. something. I get home and I'm on the computer. And back then it was like, you know, 5 hours to Google anything. Did we even have Google? I don't even know. I was like,
I don't even think we had the internet probably, did we?
I don't know. We might have had one of those, you know, like those modems that went like very, very slow.
And made a noise.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. And I looked up the Navy, I looked up joining, and I just applied like out of nowhere. I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to apply and see what happens. And I got an interview.
Oh my God.
And I went to the interview because they do like an aptitude test first. I went to the interview and I was like, I passed it. So then I was like, fuck, now I have to do a fitness test. And you know, to be very honest with you, I had spent the last few years working in bars, you know, drinking, partying, not sleeping. So
doing the uni thing.
Yeah, doing the uni young teenage thing. And doing fitness tests all of a sudden, I was like, shit, I probably can't even run to the end of the driveway. So I had to run like 2.5K in time, and then I had to do beep test. So Dad set up cones for me in the backyard and he downloaded the beep test, and probably back then he bought me a CD of the beep test. And I was like, every day, beep test, run, to try and pass the fitness test. So that was like my adult reintroduction to, if you can call me an adult, because I wasn't even 21 yet. But anyway, that was like my reintroduction to fitness. So obviously, I passed the fitness test.
Well done.
Big girl. And within like a matter of minutes, I was going to the Navy. It happened so fast. I just remember thinking like, how did this all happen? Like 1 minute I was there and the next minute I'm there. Like, and then because... you know how it is, like, you might not know how it is. When you join the Defence Force, you have to do recruit school, which is like, in Australia it's called recruit school. I don't know what else they call it in everywhere else, but that's like your initial, like, I think it's 3 months we did.
Initiation.
Yeah. So this is what you do to actually pass to be able to go to the next phase of, like, being ranked, I guess you'd say. In my job, because I was an engineer, you have to do that, and then you have to go to engineer training. So it's a big thing. Anyway, so then for 3 months, I had to do fitness every day. And I had to stop smoking because I smoked cigarettes then.
Oh my God.
Because I worked in a bar, I smoked cigarettes. Like, that's just what you did then. So I was like, I quit smoking and I started eating M&Ms. And I'm doing fitness every day, but I'm getting fat because every night I'm eating M&Ms instead of smoking. It was crazy. Everyone else went into recruit school, got skinny. I got fat. And then we'd have to do, I swear to God, I always had big legs, like my whole life. I was grown up
It's the gymnastics and the swimming.
I swear. I had these chunky legs, like, always rubbing together. My mum used to put me in dresses and my thighs would be rubbing, and I'm like, Mum, just let me wear shorts. So anyway, we have to do all these activities in shorts. Running, swimming into running, into the sand, into this. I had chafe for maybe 6 months straight. It was the worst time ever. And you know, back then, because you're wearing a uniform, you're not allowed to wear pants. If they say you wear shorts with the squad, you wear shorts with the squad. So my life was hell. But anyway, that was like one big chapter of my fitness. Then when I finished my engineer training, I got posted to a ship.
What was that like?
Amazing. Honestly, I have done a lot of things in my life, but that was probably one of the best things I've ever done.
And you had no reservations at all. Like you said, you applied, got accepted, did the fitness test, and it was off you go. At no point did you think, I don't know if I want to do this. I want to stay home with mum and dad. I want to continue uni. What made you just choose that path and not even look back?
Because my dad was so proud of me.
Okay.
Because when I told my dad, he was like, oh my God, my daughter's going to the Navy and she's going to do the job that I did. Like, he was like so proud. And, you know, for me, because my dad was my whole everything, I was like, I'm doing the right thing. And the thought of getting out of the town I lived in also, because I lived in a small town with my parents growing up. Like, well, I was in America for 10 years. Then I was in this small town for 10 years. And then obviously the Navy took me to Sydney for another 10 years. So don't calculate my age. Shit. Anyway, delete all those years.
Were you an only child? An only child?
Yeah, I am an only child. So in this small town, it was like nothing there. And all the kids my age are basically either getting pregnant, taking drugs. They have no like real ambition about where they want to go or what they want to do. And I wasn't happy in this because, you know, I came from a family where like we traveled the world. Like my dad had big ambitions. My mum wanted this. And my parents taught me from day one, whatever you want to do, you do it. They never held me back from any ideas that I had. So when I said I want to join the Navy, they're like, good, go. And so, yeah, I went to the ship and I was a watchkeeper. So I'm engine room maintenance. So I have to go into the engine room 4 hours on, 8 hours off. So in 8 hours off, what do you do? So I spoke to the chef on board and I asked him to cook me special meals. And I spoke to the fitness trainer on board and I asked her to make me a program. This is my first ever proper weights program. And I went to the gym on the ship every time in my off, do my cardio on the cross trainer and do my weight training. And I got strong fast. And then I fell in love with it. And then back then we had a male physical trainer on the ship as well. As there was two. There was the woman and the guy. And the guy started running what he called the 300 Club, which was like almost like WODs, like CrossFit WODs, but we were in a team, like a competition. So you could enter, and then every day you had to turn up, and there would be a winner at the end.
Sick.
So out of the whole ship, like, and I'm talking, I can't even remember how many people on our ship, but for girls, there's not that many. Only 3 girls entered. And I was the only one that's not an officer. So, and everyone else was boys. And we had to do some hard shit. But because we got to join, we got the chef to cook us all the extra food. So this is where my real love for this started. Because I love the eating healthy. You know, I used to do laps on the deck of the ship, like at sunset or sunrise.
Did you stop eating M&Ms?
Yeah, by this stage, I never ate another sweet. I didn't even eat dessert, you know. And on the ship, that's hard because, you know, you are away from everyone and like food is a comfort. So instead of that being my comfort, I just trained and trained and trained.
That's why I asked you about leaving to go to the ship, because being an only child, being so close to your mum and dad, that must have been hard being away from family.
You know, I'm pretty resilient. I adapt very well to most things. I wasn't really that upset, to be honest. Like, it's strange. I've always kind of had a free spirit inside me. Like, I kind of just go where I want to go, do what I want to do, and I adapt to that, and I'm fine. Like, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like no matter where I am in the world, I've always had my mum and dad super close inside me, so I never really felt like that. I mean, if you had to live in those circumstances, I think, like, it's not for everyone, of course. Like, you know, you sleep in a gap this big and you sleep with a bunch of other people up above around you, like, you know, and it's a crazy, interesting life. It's totally different. And, you know, it changed who I was and it sculpted me into who I am today. And I'm like so super grateful for that because it taught me discipline. It taught me routine. It taught me structure. It taught me like how to adapt to situations that you can't control, and you know, for me, like I like to control everything, and I still do, but that was like a learning experience for me because I remember when we would go on some deployments and we we would be stuck at sea. I didn't see land sometimes for like months.
That's crazy.
And I didn't even care. Like, I mean, it was hard, of course. And we had times when the captain wouldn't even tell us when we were going because we were under strict top secret. We weren't allowed to know when we would go home. So we would just be like, what's happening now? So if you didn't have training, I don't know what else you would do. Like, would you eat? Would you smoke?
So is that where your love for bodybuilding really began?
I think so, yeah, because that's where the training, where I really fell in love with the training. And then when I came back into Port, I decided that I would start learning my certification. I wanted to start teaching Les Mills classes. I wanted to just be a part of the fitness. Even though I was still in the Navy, I thought, while I'm home, I may as well do something with my life that's beneficial in this way. And then I started thinking that I would try and change over to fitness trainer. But, you know, because my job, I was in a promoted position. My position was very important on the ship. Like, I was the only one that kept the ship in balance. So if I fuck up, the ship tips over. And this is my whole job. And they always said engineers are crucial. We can't get rid of them. So anyway, I wanted a break. I'd been at sea for a very long time, and I just landed this amazing position in the commander's office, driving the commander. I was like, how I get this position? It was so good, and I could study all day.
Sick.
So like when I wasn't driving, I had nothing to do, so I could study. So I did all my certifications for PT in this time. And then this actually got me sent with the Army. So I went and did a deployment with the Army.
How did that differ from the Navy?
Oh my God, totally different. Because you're not at sea, you're on land, you have to do many other activities like Army activities, like running with vests on
I need
street.
to see photos of this. Why have I not seen this?
Because I was born in the era before smartphones were like everything. My job was to drive the commanding officer of the entire operation overseas, and I was like his Lara Croft, because I had to have the gun strapped to my leg, I have to drive him around, I have to protect him. And he had this idea that I had to go and do like weekly range shoots to protect him. So I used to drive every week to the range, shoot all the weapons, try and get good at this, and then like as if I'm never going to shoot anyone anyway. So it's really ridiculous. But anyway, I thought after this that they might let me transfer because I wasn't doing an engineering job anyway. So I started practicing every day running, because by then you have to pass like a big long list of all these different fitness requirements
to move into the Army,
to move into physical trainer, because it's like a whole different category. So I started practicing because I really, really wanted it, and I kept trying to get the changeover. I kept trying to do it, and then in the end, they just refused. They said, "We only will allow you to stay in as an engineer." So I left, and they lost me anyway, which doesn't make sense. Better to just keep me, right? But anyway, so then by that time, I was a civilian, and I started my PT business, and I was teaching Les Mills classes, and I'm telling you, babe, like I left the Navy for no job. I just left, and I was like, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? But honestly, I never really thought it wouldn't work, because you know me, like my mind is like bullet. If I decide I'm going to do something, I know I'm going to do it and I'm going to be good at it.
And that's what your parents taught you from a young age.
100%. Because my parents believed in me so much that I had no choice but to believe in me. Like, there was never another option. I was very blessed because I grew up in a family full of love, full of encouragement. Like, they pushed me to be the best I can be, but they believed that I could do it. And if you get told often enough in your life that you can do it, you know you can do it. There's no other option. So I remember back then when we did Fitness First training, you come back in 4 weeks to do like a follow-up with the Fitness First team to see how you're doing. And I was fully booked. And they were like, how? Like, no one could believe it. And I didn't even try that hard, I swear. I just went in, I walked in, and I was busy. Like, I don't know what happened. And I stayed like that until I left for Dubai. Like, I was doing like 50 hours of PT a week, like very comfortably.
You like being with people. You're very good with people.
I love being with people, you're correct. Even still now, I always joke that I hate people, but I love my people.
Yeah.
And, you know, after I've done this job now, I think between 13 and 15 years, I think I've been a PT for. And I literally still love it. Like, I get such a buzz out of when my clients are killing it, when they're getting stronger, when they're, you know, even just doing their, like, getting stronger in one exercise gets me excited, or when they grow a new muscle, or, you know, like something little even just excites me about their journey.
It's because you see the change in them that you saw in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you've been on a journey yourself and you've seen the progress you've made, when you now see that in other people, it lights that fire in you again to want them to succeed. And it's coming down to your passion and your purpose. You found your passion, and now your passion's become your purpose to help other people do the same thing. So back in Australia, then PT business was going really well. Shift to Dubai. Tell us about that.
Shift to Dubai.
How many? So 2015 you moved here.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be happening like that. Like, when I started coaching, I started competing, and I was just busy, caught up in
When
everything.
did you compete first in Australia?
Maybe 2012 or 13. I was doing like Australian Natural Bodybuilding Federation shows, like, and I was shit. I was never in shape. I was small, but I was never in shape. Like, I was with all these weird coaches online that I would find, like, you know, you find them from, like, I don't even know how I found them.
Bodybuilding.com, probably.
Maybe something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And they would feed you no food, and, you know, the old stupid way of doing things. And anyway, so I did that for a while, and then I started the IFBB thing. But yeah, to get to Dubai, honestly, I just wanted to do something different. I didn't really, there was like 3 countries on the whiteboard, and that was the one that won.
Yeah. And what were the other 2? I'm curious.
One was China.
No.
I don't even know why it was China, because I don't even want to go to China. There must have been a reason for China. And US, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a very close relationship with the US, obviously, because you lived there before as well. And you go back frequently as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever move there?
Yeah.
You think you will?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will do a stint there, definitely. I don't know whether it will be like a 50-50 split or a permanent move or whatever, but...
So you came to Dubai, set up your business in Dubai.
Yeah.
And that took off very quickly as well. As
Yeah.
I've already said at the start of the podcast, you're pretty well renowned in Dubai as one of the most successful PTs. You're always busy. Your schedule is packed, touch wood.
Touch wood.
But again, I think it comes down to you having that personality and that drive and that determination to help other people. I think it's infectious. You know, it's why we're friends.
Yeah.
You know, you have that kind of personality where you want people to win. You want to see people succeed. You're friendly. You're engaging.
Yeah.
So your business now currently is partly PT, partly online, correct?
Yeah. Only just because it's been very hard for me to scale back from the PT side of things, because I do love it so much. But it's more of an end goal type of thing, because I don't want to be 50 and training 50 clients a week. Like, it's just like, there's no reason for me to do that. Like, lifting 20 kilo plates all day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I could probably do it, of course, but is that really the ideal job for me at that point? No. And I'm super focused about being goal driven. And, you know, last night I was going through boxes of photos, like looking for some photos to show Becky, actually, to show you about my old days in the Navy and Army and stuff like that. And I came across so many vision boards over the years of things, and I was like, I didn't realize how much I've been doing this for so long. Like,
Well, you have about 4 whiteboards in your office. I know this.
yeah, and I'm always getting new whiteboards. I'm obsessed with like putting down what I want to achieve, and nothing is more rewarding than crossing off achievements. Like, I did that. Like, one year I had a whiteboard like blocked into 4 pieces, you know, because I always break it up into business, relationships, career, and like personal physique development. I crossed off everything but like one thing, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize I did that much this year. So you don't really know what you're doing. I always say you don't know what you're doing unless you reflect, like what you've done unless you reflect, and you don't know what you're aiming for unless you write it down. I'm old school. I like pen and paper.
Yeah.
Neurological connection. Write it, see it, feel it, do it.
Yeah.
I don't think if you have no organization about your life direction, you will not go anywhere. It's like you're spinning in a circle.
I'm exactly the same. You've seen my office. You've seen how I work. I'm old school. Coming from being a teacher to now online coach, I write everything down. I even have notes for our interview as well.
And I like that.
And I agree with you. Like that physical connection of writing something down, ticking it off, organizing your day, decluttering your thoughts, organizing your mind is extremely powerful. And I think in this digital age, somewhere along the lines, that's got kind of lost. And I know there are other ways that you can do that. Like you can put it on an app and all these other things. But ultimately, you have to know how you want to achieve your goals is going to be what you set out, the plan you make for it, and when you tick it off, you know. And I think that organization and structure comes down to your morning routine. And just off air, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So tell me about your morning routine, because I think that's happened from a very young age, from your parents probably instilling that within you. And that's carried you through the Navy, into fitness, and even your routine now daily.
Yeah, look, my mum always says I'm exactly like my father. She say you're just like him. You get up early in the morning, you do all your things, then you go and do this. Like, for me, it has to be that way. Like, I have to get up. Like, okay, once a week, maybe I have a little bit of an extra sleep in, but let's talk about every day is like a standard day. I will get up early. Before I get out of bed, I say what I'm grateful for and what I want to achieve. And these things I do like eyes open, do it because I like to put music on in the morning. And I put it on very loud, actually. And a lot of mornings I put on death metal. It just depends what mood I'm in, but a lot of mornings it is like I have like crazy music in the house. But before I go into that land, I'm focusing my mind. And then I'm listening to the music. And then sometimes if I'm actually up early enough, and it depends on my bedtime, I will sit on my bench in my kitchen and drink my coffee and actually start to prepare my mind for what I'm going to achieve in the day. Because remember that like every day adds up to how many days in a week, adds up to how many weeks in a month. Each day that you do right, you're one step closer to the end, to where you want to go.
It's an accumulation.
Absolutely. So I always think, and look, I'm not perfect, and not every day I might achieve everything as I want to, but I need to know what I want to do and where I'm going. And this for me is a constant everyday reflection. I have lists upon lists. So when I go to work, I do Stairmaster every day. And this is my time where I go through the list first and do everything I need to do in that time, answer clients, make sure that I'm doing the things I need to do for the day. Without that block every day, I don't feel productive. If you say to me, you don't have to do your cardio, have a rest. If I don't do my cardio, I don't get up early. I don't put my thoughts together. I don't do the work on the Stairmaster. So actually, I'm behind.
It's a habit. It's a habit block. Like
Absolutely.
They all block onto each other. And I'm the same. I find it very hard not to have my morning routine. And if my morning routine is disturbed in any way, it throws my whole day off. And I joke with my husband and I say, oh, I might have a lie-in tomorrow. And he was like, no, you'll be up at 4. Like he laughs at me because he knows I get up at 4.
You're crazy because you are up at 4 every day.
But now my body clock naturally wakes me up at that time. Like I'm going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So this is very late for us, for me. But my natural sleep rhythm, I wake up naturally, and I'm like you. I wake up and I don't wake up going, oh gosh, it's an alarm that's waking me. I wake up before an alarm is going off. And I'm the same in terms of, the first thing I think about is I'm alive. I'm grateful. I get to live another day. It's the first thing I say to myself. You know, I look at my husband, I look at the dogs down in their dog beds, and I'm like, I have so much to be grateful for. And then the next thing I do is, okay, let's start the day. So then I get myself up and I do my normal routine. And I think it's a game changer. And I know where mine's come from, but where did yours come from? What in your life happened that caused you to really consolidate that routine and it become something that is a non-negotiable for you? Can you remember?
I don't know, because I feel like I've always been like that. Obviously, I probably wasn't like that when I was like 19 because I was like sleeping late and doing weird hours of work. But probably from the Navy is where my discipline and structure and routine comes from. But doing this probably started when I was in Dubai because I was lost a lot when I first came here. Because when I first came to this country, it was hard for me because I came here I don't want to get too deep into this part of my story, but like I came here married and I got separated very fast.
Yeah.
So I was in this country like alone. And back then it wasn't like it is now with tons of expats, tons of support, I didn't know anyone.
Even the fitness industry wasn't like it was.
No. I was probably the only girl with as much muscle as I have. There was only one really good gym, and it was like tiny in comparison to what we have now. It was a totally different world. You couldn't go to the mall with your shoulders out.
Your shoulders out, yeah.
Like shorts, definitely not. It was a whole different world. So I was not happy for a long time, but I am such a stubborn bitch. I used to have group phone calls with my best friends from the army. There's 5 of us. We have a group. They used to beg me to come home. And they would be like, just come back to us. It's fine. It doesn't matter. And I would be like, no, I will not give up. I made a decision to come here and I will do it. And it was hard. And I think basically my structure came from that, because I knew if I have a routine, if I have a reason every day to do what I'm doing, it will come together.
And
because I don't believe in failure.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that you can't make it. I think that's bullshit. You can always get business. You can always make money.
Yeah.
You can always fix your life. Everything's your own choice. So I choose to win at this, no matter what the fuck happens.
You have control over your life. As you said, you're a control freak. So if you can control your mind, you can control your day.
You can control everything.
You can control everything.
So I did. And in a matter of no time, I moved into a villa, which for me, to imagine myself living in a villa after, I left Sydney, the top of my game, brand new car, brand new house, everything I wanted. And then I move into a house with my Indian family in a bedroom. And that's all I have. And a rental car, like a fucking Toyota Spark, whatever, or not even, what do you call it? Chevrolet Spark? I don't even know what it is. Something that looks like this big.
Yeah.
And I have nothing. And I always say to myself, I am so, so grateful to that family, because they took me in and they took care of my dogs so that I could work 24/7.
Yeah.
And I did. I built my business like boom. I was like...
You were in the gym from morning till night. I know, because
Literally.
I was in that gym dropping Darren off at 5 a.m. when I was still teaching, going to school. I'd come back afterwards to do my own training session, and you were still there, and you'd been there all day eating.
And I would never go home. I would say, I had this little trick that I used to do in Australia, and I started doing it in Dubai, where every start of the week, on the weekend, the first day of the new week, the night I would count all the sessions. And if I don't have my target, I will not sleep until I have booked the target.
Yeah.
And I did this every week. And I was like a rat on a wheel. But this family took care of my dogs. I cooked all my food then in a slow cooker. I had a slow cooker and a rice cooker. And that's it. And 20 million supplements. Yeah. And every single day they would flick the slow cooker and the rice cooker on. So I would have my meals ready. They helped me so much.
Yeah.
And I saved so much money. Back then, I didn't have a bank account, I think, maybe. I had rolls of money just hidden in my shoes.
All of your Jordans.
All of my Jordans. And, and I said, I will make enough money to move out on my own. And then I did something else crazy. When I left that family, because they had to move from the villa, and I said, okay, it's time for me to fly on my own now. I moved into a studio. And I said, I will not put Wi-Fi and I will not buy a TV, so that when I'm in this house, I'm working. Everything is about work. And I did it again. And that's when I met my maid, who is still with me till this day. She took care of the dogs and I worked 24/7. I didn't even cook in that house. I lived there for 1 year. No Wi-Fi, no TV, no cooking.
That's insane.
And I made so much money and I traveled so much.
Yeah. You do love to travel. You do love to travel. I want to talk about a few things, actually. I do want to talk about your love of travel, but I also want to talk about, during that time, you actually prepped, because there was the Dubai Muscle Show.
Yeah.
So even during that time when you were really struggling,
Oh, that
you
was,
actually
I was
prepped
living
for
in the Indian house then.
And you prepped for the Dubai Muscle Show, which was one of the first shows that actually had female competitors, and they had the women's physique division.
Yeah. I think that was the first and last time women's physique was ever competing in this country.
Yeah. And I remember, because I was in the gym and I was like, that woman is shredded. I was like, Darren, she's shredded.
I was peeled inside
you were
out.
Inside out. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, there's no way she's not winning.
And you know, I had this crazy diet that I developed on my own, and I wrote it on a spreadsheet.
Not a whiteboard?
No, this was too many calculations. I had to put it on a spreadsheet. But I was living with the Indian family.
Yeah.
And you know, this family, they used to party all the time. So I don't even know how I did it. Like, I would sleep in that house while they would have parties till like 3 o'clock in the morning. But I got probably one of the most shredded times of my life for that show. It was insane.
And then they never brought any other female divisions. And then you then prepped a few years later. I would say, what, like 3 years later after that, you then decided to compete internationally.
No.
'Cause it was 2000.
That was 2016 or 17. I can't remember.
Yeah, and then 2019 is when you got your pro card.
No, because I actually did a full prep. I don't know if you know this. I didn't actually write it in my other little story, but I did. When my dad died, I couldn't function at all. And I said, I used to go in the gym and just sit with the dumbbells in my hands and not train because I couldn't get my head to work. So I said, I'm going to do a show because that's the only thing I can do that's going to help me have something to focus on. And I asked, back then it was, you know, Christian Williamson.
Yeah.
Or is he Williams or Williamson? I don't know. I can't remember. But he helped me. He trained me every day because I had no motivation to do anything. But I wanted to do the show. And Sam also did it with me. We flew to Australia to compete. And I did the whole prep. And it was the hardest prep in my life because my body didn't want to do anything.
No.
And I was under so much, I guess, maybe depressed, stressed, suppressing it all. I don't know. I was small and I was lean, but I wasn't peeled like I usually am. I flew all the way to Australia to do the show, and the day before I said to my coach in Australia, I'm not doing it.
You pulled out.
I pulled out. I said, there's no way I'm going to compete in my country when I don't like my physique. No. And he's like, but you did the whole prep. Like, I prepped, I think it was 20 weeks, 24 weeks. I said, I don't care. I achieved what I wanted to from the prep, but I never did the show. So I did that prep. And then I did my real prep for when I won my pro card in 2019. And I was peeled for that show.
Absolutely. And that was in Romania, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's another thing about mindset for that show that was crazy. So
what made that prep different to the last one, other than, obviously, you were still grieving your dad? I think you'll probably still be grieving your dad now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely am. Sometimes worse than other times. But I think, I don't know, maybe I was just ready. You know, Jamie was my coach for this. His immense ability to believe in you is very infectious. I had a good environment. I never wanted to be a pro, ever. And I had so many of my coaches, they're like, you will be so good as a pro. And I was like, I don't care. I'm doing this because I love it.
Yeah.
And I will come back to this point because I want to discuss this, because people these days are not competing because they love bodybuilding or they love training. They do it for social media status or to win a pro card that they don't even really know why. The point of bodybuilding is to do it because you love it.
Yeah. I always say if Instagram wasn't there and the stage wasn't there, would you still be in the gym training?
Yeah, exactly. Would you train in a gym where there's no one?
No mirrors.
Or no one can see you?
Yeah.
Like, I would.
Yeah.
I would prefer that.
If there was no one.
I love it. I love to be alone. But something about that prep was I was praying a lot. And
that was going to be my next question about
your spiritual. I beat you.
You did. You beat me to that. I wanted to talk about your faith. Yeah.
This was a crazy journey for me spiritually because I prayed every single day of that prep, and every day when I prayed, I visualized me winning the show. Now, it was like crazy how this went for me because it was like I was never thinking to myself I wasn't going to win. Like, I'm not being cocky, but I decided in my mind that I was going there to pick up the trophy. It wasn't even really like, I don't know. It was like a weird energy that I had. And when I got to Romania, I stopped listening to all music and I just listened to Quran from the minute I got there until the time I got on the stage. And I prayed every prayer every day. The only music I listened to was for my routine because I had to practice it. But other than that, that was it. And I literally, the day of the show, I just thought to myself, I'm going to get this. And that was my mindset. And my mum used to talk to me way back about visualizing, because my mum is obsessed also with like this thing of always visualizing what you
and
want,
manifesting it,
smelling it, feeling it, knowing it's coming before it comes. And she and I would talk about this so much that in other preps, but I finally mastered it in that prep. I don't know whether it was because of the prayer or because the prep was smooth or just all the things together, but I knew how it was going to be, how it was going to go. And if you see me on stage, like, I don't look overly surprised that I won.
You chilled. You're really relaxed. Like, most people are really nervous backstage and stuff. You didn't look it at all.
Yeah, I felt good. So I really think, you know, like, people underestimate how much you can do just by believing in yourself. And I'm super, super critical of myself. Like, if I lose one client, I have to find 4. Like, this is how my mind works. And I will get like, why am I failing about this? And I will be like, I will not do that. So then I'm like, damage control, try and fix the situation. But then this is like my initial response. And then I'm like, hang on, you don't need to think like that. Just trust everything like you always do. Visualize success, visualize it happening, and everything changes. And babe, I have sometimes in my life some of the craziest things. Like, I will literally say something that I want and it happens like to the T. So much that some people that are really close to me that see it happen are like, what?
No.
Like, crazy things.
I really want a pumpkin spice latte.
I really
right
want
now.
25 Frenchies, but I haven't really visualized that properly yet.
You keep sending me those
I'm
dog memes.
still working on that.
I cannot. You have 2 already. Stop being greedy.
I want more.
Oh. So tell us a little bit about your faith. Where did that come from? Was it moving to Dubai?
No, it wasn't. It was when I lost my dad. Everything in life has like a point. It's like before Dad died and after Dad died. It's like everything in my life got a line drawn in it, and then we restarted almost life again in a different fashion. So I was broken, and I used to train a guy back then, and he became like a father figure for me, and he was a very, very, very devoted Muslim. And he'd lost his dad also. And he used to talk to me about how he dealt with it and how the religion had really helped him. And I just started to ask him more questions. And then as time went on, I started to read more and I started to pray more. And I just liked the spiritual connection of how it made me feel. I did go through a phase where I was like super, super strict with it. I never missed a prayer. But I've relaxed it a little bit now because my views on religion are not probably what you would say is being correct, because I'm half naked sometimes. My job, I'm competing. I do use my body for advertising because that's my business. But I pray when I want to, when I feel I need to. The main elements I think that people get so confused with is everyone's always pointing the finger at each other, saying you're a good Muslim, you're a bad Muslim, you're a good Christian, you're a bad Christian. But at the end of the day, and I will obviously ruffle feathers and people will hate on me for what I say in this time, but I don't really care because I am who I am, and if you don't like it, that's not my issue. But
that's why I love you.
But like, you know, you have to be kind to people. You have to give. You have to have compassion and empathy. You can't be mean for no reason to other people and try to hurt them. And, you know, this is major elements of religion and life. And I think if you do all the right things in your life, God is going to reward you anyway, because that's what he wants. All the other things, like, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, if I have my legs out to 90% of the time, but I pray every day, what's right, what's wrong?
Yeah.
If you pray every day, you go to the mosque, but then you drink every night and cheat on your wife, is that right or is that wrong? So I don't really think anyone has the right to be judging you on what you do in your religion. I pray to Allah. That's who I pray to. Do I cover? No. Is that your business? No.
Yeah.
That's between me and God. And the reason I pray to Allah is because I feel like he changed my life. You can believe that and say what you want, but he taught me a whole different level of spirituality that I would never have had otherwise. And so...
At a time when you really needed it as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, babe, life is so full of obstacles. You don't know when the next thing's going to happen that's going to create you a pain that could break you. So you need to be strong and you need to be confident that you can deal with those things when they happen. When you lose one loved one like that, it's a shock. And you don't really know how to deal with it, even if you prepare for it. My dad was sick for many years, really sick at the end for a few years. I thought I was very prepared to lose him. I thought, like, okay, I know it's going to happen. When it happens, I'm going to be okay, but I wasn't. But I guarantee you how much I learned from that and how much it taught me to be able to deal with the next tragedy or the next trauma that comes into my life. I will be definitely different. Not to say it won't hurt me, but definitely my feelings of hurt are different from what they used to be.
Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't going to go into great detail about your dad, but I appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's going to help a lot of people listening as well and really understand, like you said, the different complexities of religion and faith and how it can support other people.
Look, everyone's going to lose their parent one day. And it's the worst thing that happens in your life. But it's inevitable. It's so you either have to figure out how to deal with it or you die like of sadness.
And the thing is, death is the only definite thing. As soon as you're born, you're dying already. So it's like it comes to us all. And it's something that we don't want to think about or have to prepare for. But unfortunately, it is going to come to all of us. And that's a very somber thing to be talking about. But let's move it swiftly on. I want to ask you, pro debut, when's that happening?
Oh,
because you kind of started it, you stopped it, you've dipped your toes in
It's a hard question, that one, because I've been through quite a journey with bodybuilding because after I did my pro debut prep in 2021, it was a hard prep because of different reasons, but I put a lot of pressure on myself for this because going to the big stage from the other stage is big because you don't know how you're going to look next to everyone else. You're up against people that have won multiple pro shows. It's daunting. So it was a stressful prep on that side of things. But to be honest, I developed my physique so much since the last show and I was really excited to do the show. And then I had an accident which stopped me from doing the show. So it was a few weeks out. So I basically did the whole prep and then I couldn't compete. And then after that, I got in a bad mood.
With bodybuilding?
But, you know, the bad mood didn't come from the prep as such. I mean, maybe that's an element of it, but I only just realized recently that bodybuilding is bodybuilding, and bodybuilding can also be the people that are in bodybuilding. And I had a lot of exposure in my life to people like in bodybuilding that are not okay in their brain. And I say that like, I'm not trying to be super critical of anyone else or judge anyone else, but like, I think, how can I say this so it's the right way? You can do bodybuilding in a way that enhances your life and inspires others, or you can do bodybuilding in a way that's like ugly. And I don't think it should be ugly because if you look at champions, it's not ugly. So I had to take myself away. I said that I would retire And I didn't post this as a bulletin because I think that that's stupid, because I know that I will obviously at some point potentially change my mind. So I will not say officially I retire, but I did retire. And I decided to be more feminine and stop training so much and blah, 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 blah. And that was a journey in itself.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had some really good looks at myself inwards and decided who am I actually, and why do I do bodybuilding? And I realized that, you know, I really, really love it. And why? Because I love the training.
Yeah.
I love the challenge. I don't care about whether people see it, but I want to train hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to skip my whole upper body.
I remember that time when you were like, I'm not even training back anymore. I was like, what?
Like boring.
Your back is insane. Why would you not train that?
And you know, I made this decision because so much in my ear, hearing this. And you know, something that you have to remember in your life is everyone always has an opinion on you and what you do. And you don't have to listen to that. What you have to do in this life, and I think, you know, to get the right vibrations, to get the right energy coming back at you, you have to be authentic. You have to be you. And if that means I have to be 100 kilos jacked and that makes me happy, and you don't want to look at me, I don't really care because I'm happy. So I said I will go back to training as hard as I want to, whatever way I want to be, and look how I want to look and feel good. And if that means that I'm going to do a pro debut, then I will. And to be honest, I think, you know, I always want to live my life to not be able to sit when I'm older and say, I wonder what would happen if I did that, or I wish I did that.
Yeah.
So I do think if I don't do a pro debut, that is what I will think. The thing that turns me off doing the pro debut is having to take things assisted wise that might push me into a place I don't like. And also I don't like the way that I look so close to the show, but you know, that's a short-term thing. So as long as you can control, you know, your health, your muscle, your everything, and do the prep long-term, like over a long period, I think that's potentially manageable to a point. If I do a pro debut, that doesn't mean I'll do 20 million shows.
No.
But
you never know if you don't try and think.
True.
Imagine if you went through this life and you didn't.
I'd love to say that I will do it beginning of next year, but I don't want to make a 100% commitment on it. Because if I make the commitment, I can't go back.
That might be an
I
exclusive.
need to be sure.
Oh gosh, is that an exclusive? On that note, actually, I'm going to move on to some questions from that I had on Instagram. I put up a question box, and a couple of them actually touch on the point that we've just been discussing about bodybuilding, females, being an old woman. And one of them was one piece of advice.
Being a what woman?
A more mature woman.
Did you say older?
Older. We're both older. We're like the same age, for Christ's sake.
Why does she say that word?
Oh my God. Anyway, now I'm getting hot in here. Oh my goodness.
I'm hot too.
What one piece of advice for a 35-year young woman, I'm going to say, not instead of old.
Thank you.
That's a newbie into women's physique division. So 35, going into women's physique division, what would be some advice that you'd give someone that's going into that? So I'm guessing brand new to bodybuilding, but clearly moving into women's physique.
So they haven't trained before, or they've
I think they are
trained but not competed before?
Yeah, I had a sneaky peek at their profile. Yes, they train.
What advice would I give them? In terms of how to do it or whether they should do it?
Anything.
I think you should do it. If it's on your mind, you should definitely do it, because if you've never done it, it's something you should tick the box on, definitely. I think you need to make sure that you have an educated coach that understands what they're doing, because so many people are going, look, when you choose a coach, you have to do so much research. It's very, very hard to find someone that's very educated and knows what they're doing with women. And the biggest pieces of advice I can say is get a good coach, and don't think that taking assisted like PEDs is the answer. Like maybe, of course.
I think that might be what she's touching on, because obviously if you're 35 years of age, moving into women's physique division, you're going to be going into that scope of assistance, and it's
well, you will have to do it. There's no, I cannot lie to you and say you can do it without. You have to do it. You'll have to use something, definitely. Is it a road you want to go down? I always say before you embark on that, open that door, do enough research, make sure you fully understand it before you do it, because as much as you can tell me all day and night that it's not addictive, it is. Once you start, it's very hard not to continue it. And it does change your life.
And it's those long-term effects as well as being an older woman, is understanding what are the rest of your life goals. Yeah. I always say to a client or anyone that asks me, I'm like, is bodybuilding going to be your career? Do you see yourself as a pro athlete? Why open that door of assistance? Unless you see this being your career and you're pushing to the realms of being, you know, an elite athlete of some kind, you don't really need to be going down that route. Women's physique division, I don't think there is a way to do that naturally, unfortunately.
But I do think like a lot of women come to me that have had kids and they don't want to do it as a career, but they want to do it. And they say like, you know, with all the risks in my mind, it's okay for me because I've had kids, I've done everything I want to do. So it's not, you know, I think it's up to you if you want to do it because, you know, if you understand the risks, you've done what you've wanted to do with your life in terms of hormonally, then I say do what you want. Yeah. But be careful before you open the door because you can't close it again.
And understand that you need to have a coach that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
To be able to manage those health perspective. Second question is challenges as a female bodybuilder in any category at a competitive level. What would you say are some of the challenges other than what we've just discussed?
Within competing?
Yeah. Challenges as a female bodybuilder in any category.
The challenges are facing health issues because, like,
whether you're assisted or natural, you're taking your body to a place it doesn't want to be. Extreme. And you do run the risk of side effects if you take stuff that could potentially change how you are as a female, or even just getting really lean. You're gonna be losing your cycle in most cases if you're getting stage lean. So it's understanding those effects.
And I mean, you struggle with maintaining relationships. Not always, but you can. You'll struggle with hormones. You'll struggle with relationships. You can struggle with, you know, holding down your job, or if you have to do something that's really, you know, your mind's involved for your business or something like this. It will definitely cause you to have elements of setback. But I think, you know, everything you do in life has a risk associated with it or a negative. You just have to outweigh it and see if it's worth doing, regardless of that. The biggest struggles, I think, is just also not knowing categories. Yeah. Like, because now...
That's a really good point, actually. Challenges as a female bodybuilder is knowing where you fit.
Yeah.
And what category you are. Because you might think you're one, but actually, once you diet down, it's, no, you haven't got enough muscle and you're actually this category.
Which, again, comes back to having a good coach.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, no matter how good of athlete you are, or experienced or not experienced, you need a coach that knows what they're doing. Every pro athlete has a coach in all sports.
Yeah.
So even if you're an amateur who's never done it before, especially you need a coach that is good.
Yeah.
Not just some random guy in the gym that's done a couple of competitions, trains you and doesn't even look at you. Like...
Have somebody that knows what they're doing and understands what your category needs as well.
And what your physique needs to look like, how to develop it in the right way, what's going to happen when you diet. Like, so many elements you need to think about. Competing is not just like, let's go and do a show and put it on Instagram. It's a whole big commitment, and it changes you in many ways.
And ultimately, bodybuilding needs to be a part of your life, as we discussed earlier. Like, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then it's going to be a challenge becoming a bodybuilder or stepping on stage or doing a prep. Whereas if you live the life daily, like you and I both do our cardio in the morning anyway, we meal prep every single day. When you start a prep, it doesn't become a challenge. It's just, I'm eating less and doing more output. Yeah. It's interchangeable.
Yeah. And eating less is a struggle also, if you're me.
Yeah. Me also. Hey, I'm in
Honestly.
my off season and I'm still not eating enough. I could eat more.
Dieting is probably still one of the things that is for me the hardest. Like I have to do a prep for extra weeks always because I have to have a few weeks just to get dieting properly. 'Cause
Yeah.
my mind's like, I'm not ready for this.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions, which I do have as my kind of closing questions for the podcast. The first one is, what would you say have been or have been the biggest mindset shift moments in your life? If you could pick 1, 2, 3, where you can kind of think everything changed at that moment for me.
When I joined the Navy, when I moved to Dubai, when I lost my dad, and very recently I had another breakthrough.
Excellent. We will move on to the next question. And then the final question is, if someone was to speak about you and you were to leave a legacy behind, what would you want that to be? Not that I'm writing your obituary or anything like that.
What would I want it to
Yeah. What would you want people to know about you?
I want them to remember me for being able to change multiple lives, for being super educated and making a difference in our industry. Like one of my biggest goals in the next decade, and I know that sounds big, but I plan by decades.
I don't doubt that after the discussion we've had.
I want to educate people enough so that trainers know more, the education in our industry becomes larger, the thirst for knowledge becomes more, so that it can spread, so that all over, everyone's getting better care, everyone's getting better understanding. You know, I don't know, like especially where we are, there's not enough education. There's not enough people striving to be the best. I'd be very happy if people remember me for being one of the best in our industry, for our time, for whenever it comes. Bodybuilding doesn't have to be the legacy I leave behind, but the success of Builderella, changing lives, has to definitely be the legacy I leave behind. I'm not really caring about having family. I'm very happy just doing my own thing. Career is my love and my focus, so I need to do that well.
And you do already. Thank you so
trying.
much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast,
Thanks
Sarah.
for
It's been an
having me,
absolute
babe.
pleasure. And I'm sure we'll have you on again.
I talk too
once
much.
you No, you don't. No, you make it so easy. And it's great to have you on. And I know that we'll probably do another one in the future when you make your comeback and the pro debut begins.
Yeah, it's a good chance it's going to happen, to be honest. I just have to get more tissue back now.
You've got plenty, trust me.
I don't know.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of the good things. I'll leave all of Sarah's details below in the description box and in the show notes if you're listening to this on the audio version. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.